Hello, Stephen here. I'm going to go over a few things that I think you should consider when you're starting a game of Skyrim, what kind of character you're going to play, how to start the game. So I have to do it this way because I did a prior recording on this and it wasn't recording. So I'm doing a reshoot here and we're going to load it up the long way to make sure we get this. I have over 3,000 hours in Skyrim, combining Legendary Edition with Special Edition. Alright, we've just exited the Helgen Tunnel.
For good this time. But I don't think we should stick around to see if he comes back. Closest town from here is Riverwood. My uncle's the blacksmith there. I'm sure he'd help you out. And it's probably best if we split up. Good luck. I wouldn't have...
Okay, Hadvar just said that it's probably best if we split up. And basically that's a good idea. If this is the first time you played the game, you're probably going to do like I did. You're going to follow him into Riverwood, get the mission to go see the Jarl of White One, start the whole, Dragonborn thing. But if you're new, if you're used to the game, you've played it a lot, or new and want to do something different, you can go where you want from this point. Now, one of the things I suggest is you make a right turn heading toward Ivarstead. You'll just where the Stormcloak camp's going to be outside of Helgen. You're going to find a massacred Khajiit caravan. There's a lot of bandits that will spawn. You can get a lot of practice. You can get some loot to sell if that's what you want to do. And there will be a Stormcloak blacksmith at the top of the hill where the camp's going to be. He's kind of like a scout. You can actually sell and buy things from him, building up your money inventory. So that's something good to consider. But we're not going there right now. I have a video on that. While we're heading toward where we're going to go, let me show you a pet peeve of mine. Especially people even making videos, tutorials on something completely different. They get in first-person view and they run around with their weapons drawn. You see Hadvar there? He doesn't have his weapons drawn. You run into Riverwood, you're not going to see anybody running around with their weapons drawn. Go into any city, town. Nobody's running around like a douchebag like this with their weapons drawn. In fact, if you do it in towns, the guards might say that they're getting nervous that you're doing that. This is really stupid, I think. Another thing people do when they're making videos, even big-name people, well, the little bunny went over the hill there, but they'll run around with their arrow, and while they're talking to you about something, they're shooting bunny rabbits. I actually usually turn out of the video by that time. I really don't like it. I don't really hunt or kill animals anymore myself. I will harvest their ingredients though, hides and stuff. You have the people. Well, let's look at this. Here's a bandit camp. Now you notice there's 3 bandits going to be up here in this camp. They're not attacking us, and they won't until you get pretty close. They're pretty much minding their business. But as with running around just indiscriminately, shooting animals left and right, people will go in and attack bandits and things like that, left and right, whether they're not doing anything. And then many of these same people will go to Windhelm and become social justice warriors and get all freaked out about the supposed racism of the Stormcloaks in Windhelm. And yet these are the same people murdering people and animals left and right. So go figure that out. But this is where we're really going right now. We're going to the Talos Shrine Massacre. This is just above the lake, above the Guardian Stones. This is what you see when you get here. This sets the stage for the whole game, in my opinion. Likely you won't see this right off especially if you're a first-time player, because you kind of have to know where to go. But let's take a look. We have a dead worshiper here. another dead worshiper. Here we have a dead female worshiper. I mean, whoever is here slaughtering, I mean, look at the blood. Maybe you can see the blood on the ground and up on the altar. Let me get in first-person view for that. I do occasionally do a first-person view, usually for archery, as I might have said, and picking up and placing objects, or for a closer look. Now, who did this? Well, it's right here. The Thalmor soldier. So here's a dead Thalmor. He has orders. I'm not going to loot his body and get the orders right now. But he's under orders to find any Talos worshippers and take care of them. He's apparently telling his superiors that there's some in the area. They don't necessarily see proof. Well, now the dead soldier has his proof. He apparently killed them and got killed in the process. Apparently the site's undiscovered either by the Nords or anybody, or by the Thalmor. I assume that the bodies would have been taken care of. But this is what you are supporting if you side with the Empire. I mean, look at this. The Thalmor over there are with the Empire. The Empire's with them. They're in cahoots. This is what you're supporting. Even the Stormcloaks, as near as I can tell, don't go around and massacring civilians like this. In fact, when we go from Riverwood to Whiterun, you're going to come across 3 Imperial soldiers escorting a captive Stormcloak soldier. Where are they taking him? They're going to take him to torture and probable execution, interrogation. This is what you're supporting. Sometimes you'll see Thalmor, elves, taking prisoners, Stormcloaks in. So it's either the Imperials or the elves. I don't really see the Stormcloaks marching people around for torture. This is what you're supporting. All right, here's another thing we can learn here at the altar. If you're playing, especially a Nord, you don't want to go around looting and desecrating, first of all, people. I mean, you don't strip them of their clothing. I don't do that anymore. Even if they have armor, that might be okay. I'll take their gold, their lockpicks, maybe weapons, but I don't strip their bodies. Basically, the only person in the game that strips bodies is the Scavenger. You'll come across him after a battle between the Imperial and Stormcloak soldiers. He'll be there stripping bodies, and he'll warn you off if you get too close, and he'll attack you. He's the only scuzzball in the game that I know of that actually strips the bodies of the dead. Even witches and mages don't do that, hostile ones. So unless you're going to be a scuzzball, I wouldn't recommend that. Also, don't loot or desecrate altars. I mean, you can go into tombs. Bleak Falls Barrow, for example, will be one of the first ones you'll likely go into. And especially if you're a Nord, you just don't start looting everything in sight. Burial urns, the bodies of the dead draugrs. The only exception is if a draugr is up attacking you. Then I guess it's considered fair game. You can take their weapons or whatever from them. But usually, anymore, I don't go around looting tombs. Now, you don't want to go looting altars either. Some people's going to come up here, they've already stripped the bodies of everything. Then they're going to come and strip all the items here at the altar that the worshippers left. I mean, the worshippers possibly already left this stuff, right? They got killed, and now you're going to come take their offerings. I don't do that anymore. In fact, what you should do is give an offering. Let's see what I have to give. I think I'll give my greatsword. Now here's where I will go into first-person view. I will put it on walk mode to more easily pick up an item and place it. Alright, so we'll clumsily set that down. There you go. So consider placing items, giving offerings instead of just always taking. Don't loot. Don't sign up with the Empire because this is what they're supporting. Right here, let's get into first-person view for a closer up. A dead female worshiper. Look at the blood all over the ground, on the altar. This is what you're supporting. Now here's something else. While I'm here, it just hit me. All right. Using flames against somebody in combat. You know, that's kind of cool. I mean, as a Nord, I really don't use magic anyway. But come on, man. Using flames on somebody, isn't that kind of like using a flamethrower on them? Burning alive? I mean, even for the enemy, that's kind of a horrific way to die. Don't you think? So no, I don't really use flames that much anymore. I mean, I think you have to be pretty much of a sadist to use that on anyone. Another thing to consider is enchanting and using enchanted weapons and things like that. Because, I mean, they're usually operated by soul gems. And whether it's an animal or a human, somebody's soul is stuck in the gem that you enchant that with. I mean, it's kind of like you're depriving them of the opportunity to go to Sovngarde or something. I guess they end up in the Soul Cairn. I mean, that's kind of a horrific thing to do to somebody too. So burning alive, and then taking their souls. I mean, come on. What kind of a creep scumball are you? I mean, that's pretty bad. So I think that this is pretty much it, what I wanted to cover for now. Just some ideas to think about. I mean, definitely don't support the Empire because you're going to support, you know, killing of civilians and women. And if kids could die, I'm sure they'd be dead too. All right, Steven out. I'm sure I'll have more sometime in the future. Okay, later.